Maple Namu. Hello and welcome back, or for the first time, to the Maple Namu Podcast. In this episode, I am going to talk about my DTEAL certificate, the discipline of teaching English as an international language, which is a lot of words, and my trip to Cuba, which was very important in my life. So to start off, my university had a certificate program where you could learn how to teach the English language. It wasn't accredited at the time. There was nobody who would touch it, or they didn't do all the paperwork. And it had a lot of overlap with my other courses anyway, being a linguistics major. So it wasn't that big of a deal to take this course and get to spend some time in Cuba. And I think it added one or two courses. It really wasn't much more than anything I had to do. And they did count towards my major anyway, so it was actually the perfect choice. A friend of mine did it a few years before me. They went every other year. And he absolutely loved it. And I trust him, and he's like, you should enroll in it. Why not? You're going to do it anyways. So I did. The courses were actually way before their time. It wasn't until I started doing other courses that actually were accredited, or even the master's level, that I realized just how good this course was. I think back and I wish I'd paid a bit more attention, but I did learn a lot anyways. I think it's been the most important course that I've taken in my life, going to this and doing this teaching program. I've learned so much from it, and it's really impacted me in ways that I don't even realize. And that could be because it was the first course I took and it set the standard, or it could be because it was just that good and other things maybe aren't. The professor who was running the program really knew what he was doing. He'd been an English teacher for who knows how many years. And he really shared a lot. He did so many things that we don't realize that he was doing. And it was amazing. And it formed a lot of my teaching philosophy. The fact that we got to go to Cuba also really helped. I learned a lot about teaching and living in other cultures. One of the really great things about Cuba is, if you hear about it, they're not exactly a rich country, but they're pretty happy. They just learn to laugh at their problems, which is something I learned to do. And it makes some of the more difficult years a lot easier if you can laugh at them. But I had some experience living abroad after my first year of university. But it wasn't until after my third year, going to Cuba for 3 weeks, that it really just solidified, made me realize how much I enjoy being in other countries and teaching. We had to do some fundraising to pay for our tickets. So I think we had a bake sale, and then we did other things. And it was actually really fun. Some of the other students, I was the only male student. I think there were 12 women and me. So it was a bit interesting, but it was good. We had to get some money to help pay for our tickets and to help pay for supplies, bringing down school supplies and cell phones and other things for Cuban students. So we finished all of our coursework except for the practicum. We pack everything up, including lots of extra stuff to get down there. We fly into Havana, and the first thing happens when we get off the airplane. It's hot and humid. Canadian summers and Cuban summers are very different. But it's hot, and it's hot. But the university had sent a bus, which was absolutely fantastic. It was old. We weren't sure if it was going to keep running, but Cuban mechanics are magicians. They say that down there. The bus driver didn't know how cool he was. But we get there, we get to the university, we get to the guest house, and it's absolutely terrible. Most of the rooms, the showers don't have running water. The best shower some people had is when it rained. They just went outside and had a shower in the rain. The menu was whatever the workers could find in the stores that day. But it was absolutely amazing. We totally loved it because it just added to the experience and it just fit the attitude of our class. I heard later that one of the later classes refused to stay there. They made them pay for a hotel or something. Whereas we were like, cool, let's go with it. And they were not having it. But we did it. It was great. We loved it. The guest houses were actually overlooking an airfield where, I can't remember his name now, but somebody fled Cuba during the revolution. And so there was a lot of history in the area too. And as we were staying in Havana, we got to see the city, Old Havana, and other things. It was absolutely amazing. There are a lot of stories, but one of my favorite memories was a taxi. If you know about Cuba, you know they have the old cars from the 50s that are somehow still running because of the magic mechanics. And this old taxi was just covered in LEDs and lights and spinny things. So here you are in this 50s era taxi, but it's filled with bright lights and all kinds of just little things that made it absolutely fantastic. The driver was a little bit, let's say, aggressive, and it's just amazing. I would have enjoyed it a lot more if the dinner that we had agreed with me and I didn't desperately need to go to the bathroom. But it was so interesting. It was so cool. Wow. I just remember this taxi. I wish I'd gotten a picture, but I wasn't feeling very well. We got up to all kinds of weird adventures, doing all kinds of stuff. And I'll have to tell a story about the cigars someday. But the professors were really nice too. They were basically on vacation. So we could just sit there, have a beer with our professors. And it was really what the university experience is supposed to be. And we were able to do it in Cuba. In terms of the actual teaching side, it wasn't that good. It was pretty basic. We really didn't have that many classes. I had to share a class with someone because there were too many of us. And I was with a teacher who was known for being strict and scary. She kind of took over. Whereas we wanted to talk to the students, she wanted to talk to us. And there was no telling her no. Maybe you've been in a situation like that where the boss is talking and you can't talk to the workers. It was a bit like that. But it was good enough. I learned the value of preparing lessons. I learned that it's much better to do things on the fly than to be over-prepared because you can prepare all you want, but things are going to change. Cuba was very good for that, things changing. It ended up being we were going for 3 weeks, and we were supposed to teach for 3 weeks. But somehow, coincidentally, I'm sure my professor knew, but he had to say he didn't. The first week was a holiday, so everything was closed anyways, so we had lots of time to explore. But one of the really important things that happened on the first day was one of the students came and talked to me. So I am not a good dancer. If you were to look at me, you could tell right away that I am not a good dancer. And I actually broke my arm dancing one time. Figure that one out. But Cubans can dance. They have a rhythm. They're island people. They're really salsa, other things. They know how to dance. And they were trying to teach us. And I was a little bit frustrated and kind of left the main group. And one of the students, his name is Yasmani, he comes up to me and he asks me, hey, do you feel bad? Like, do you miss your family? What's going on? I say, yeah, a little bit. And he's like, too bad. And I was like, what? What do you mean too bad? He's like, too bad. We're your family now. For your time in Cuba, we're your family. We don't have a chance to talk to people too much. So, we're going to talk to you. You need to talk to us. You don't have time to feel bad. This is a huge opportunity for us, so get over it. And for the 3 weeks we were there, we were family. I mean, you could tell that he didn't mean it in a bad way. It was just very much, here's a reality check. We were family. And every now and then he'll send me a message on Facebook, and I just remember how he helped me through that homesickness. And there are a ton of other stories from Cuba, but I'll save those for other episodes. But just going and having that experience with one of these students and basically making a friend for life in a day is really impactful. I mean, how could it not be? If you're curious, I never did learn how to do the salsa. They tried once or twice more, and I did everything I could to get out of it. I'm not a dancer. Anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I apologize. There might have been a little bit of sound in there. The farmer across the road just brought his gyeongun-gi, which will be another episode, up to the farm, and it made a bit of noise. But if you enjoyed this, let me know. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know. And have a great day.